Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Bad Lit Friends, the writing podcast that still barely knows what it's doing. I am your host, Megan Thompson Mann, and this is my co host.
Hi, I'm Kirk Rafferty.
And this week, we are talking about one of our favorite topics, actually, our least favorite topics capitalism. Specifically, we are talking about capitalism and how it brought us the debacle that is Mia Ballard's Shy Girl.
And I'll just say up front, this podcast is not going to go the way I think a lot of people think it's going to go. We're not here to pile on.
Absolutely not.
Well, let me say this: we're not here to pile on to Mia.
Nope. We
have other targets in mind.
we are going to spread this kind of a little bit more broadly.
Yeah.
This is an equal opportunity disappointment episode.
hmm
But Mia Ballard is, quite frankly, probably one of the least of the problems here, even though it's her book that is at the center of this current controversy. So we are recording today, March 20th, 2026. And if you are in any bookish spaces, it's been all Shy Girl all the time,
All day, all
all
day.
day,
Yeah.
many, many takes, which we will discuss at length. To give a very, very quick overview, Shy Girl is a pink horror book that was published by Hachette, or it was published in the UK first, and then it was due to be published here in the US after Ballard self-pubbed this book. And there were a lot of suspicions about it being written, at least in part, with AI before the publication. And today, Hachette has announced that it is pulling publication because of its strong suspicions that it was indeed, at least in part, if not large part, generated by AI. If you've listened to any of our episodes, you might know that AI is kind of a topic in,
Yeah. Yeah.
Booklandia.
And we're
So,
not fans. We're not fans.
no, we are not. But there are many targets that we can point our trusty bows and arrows at here.
hmm hmm
We have a lot of thoughts, and all of those thoughts lead to one place: the specter of capitalism. You know it, you love it.
Yep.
We're
Spoiler
coming for
alert.
you again. So, how's your writing going?
My writing is going really good. I have slowed down on my kind of the primary book that I'm writing because I have decided that, so a little backstory. As I mentioned before, my literary agent and I have parted ways. The book that I had on sub was not picked up by a publisher. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm getting that book in shape and I'm going to take it indie.
Awesome.
So I think that book has sat around long enough with no eyes on it, and I want to get it out to the world. And so I'm going to indie pub this, and I still am going to keep querying my current novel. And who knows? Maybe I'll have a foot in both camps at some point. But right now, so what I've been doing then is really putting a lot of effort into just going back through, making another pass. And thank God I did, because the number of typos that I caught is astounding. So,
This is
so I've
how
been,
we know that you did not write it with using AI because of
that's
all of the
right.
typos.
So I've been going through, cleaning it up, also, kind of cleaning up some of the language. So, I wrote this book, I've like 3 years ago now. And I like to think that I'm a better writer at this point. So, I've been going through there. I've found some kind of awkward phrasing and things like that. So I'm tightening things up a little bit and really just getting this thing in shape so that it can be the best book that it can be. I don't know. Maybe September is when I'm thinking, but I
So
don't know yet.
cool. I am
Yeah,
so psyched. When you told me,
I know,
I
and I
was
only
like,
told you like
yes.
last week. It's been running around in my head for about a month. I think I only told you last week. I've only been
No, it was
actually
this
doing.
week.
Oh, it
You
was
told me
this
this
week.
week.
It's been a long week. So, yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now. So my writing is a little bit slowed down right now while I kind of work on this project as well.
Awesome.
How's your writing going?
Pretty good. I had a very good writing weekend last weekend. Yeah, sort of pumped out 2,400, which is very good for me. And we're getting into the home stretch. And I also came to the conclusion that I might have started my book in the wrong place, but that's okay. I'm not thinking about it now. I'll think about it when I'm, done with the first draft.
Yeah, that's
And
the
yeah,
secret is if you think that you started your book in the wrong place, just don't think about it anymore.
I'm just not going to think about it at all. And I right now, so I'm aiming for a similar length as the book that I'm querying, which is 86,000 words. Uh, right now, with 3.5 chapters left, I'm at 81,000 words. So,
Right
there's going
on.
to be some pruning, but there will not be the 144,000 down to 86,000 issue that I had last time. So, it's going good. Continue to hate very, very much my villain while also just being like, God, you're so smooth. I'm just gonna pat myself on the back. I had a couple of real bangers that I knocked out last weekend, like some really good sentences. I'm like, "Fuck yeah." So,
I love
I'm
my
feeling pretty good.
villains. Yeah.
I love this villain. I'm trying to figure out a way. If I do for book 3, I do the reality TV show. I'm trying to figure out a way, like, how do I get him in there? Since I am setting it in part in a geographical location where he would be, adjacent to. I'm like, "Hmm, hmm, hmm." No, I can't think about book 3. I remembered book 9. I'd forgotten about book 9, which was my crazy flag football idea.
Jeez.
Flag football romance. Someday, look, I gotta win the lottery so I have enough time to actually get to book 9 since I'm still working on book 2.
I can't even keep more than, like, 3 books in my head. I don't know how you're keeping book 9 in your head.
Google Docs. I have Google Docs, and also I have my dabble notes that I keep everything in. So,
Huh.
you could use Scrivener.
I like to think that you've also got, like, this, Always Sunny murder board too.
I do.
Yeah,
I
I'm sure.
basically am Charlie Day, and you already knew that about me, but, yeah. So let's talk about why I am currently wearing my Smash, the imperialist, capitalist, hetero patriarchy T-shirt today, and if you go to Blue Sky, you will be able to see this picture. We're talking about Mia Ballard. We
Mhm.
are talking about Shy Girl. We are talking about how the business of books is killing the artistry of books and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
and the pleasures of reading. Look, you didn't come for philosophy, but you're gonna get it. I was thinking, like, why don't we talk about Roland Barthes and the death of the author? Like, let's talk about some deconstruction today. But then I thought, no, no, let's talk about pink horror instead.
Yeah. Well, and like you said earlier, this has been a really big day. People are gonna listen to this a week from now, but, and so, the story may be, who knows, just gone off of everybody's radar by then, but, for us right now in the past, long distant week ago past, it's a very fresh story,
Yeah.
and so I would like to start with Mia,
Mhm.
because I wanna get this out of the way.
Yeah.
So Mia did something really dumb, allegedly. If she did use AI, and her story right now is that she handed it over to an editor friend who potentially ran it through AI. It doesn't actually matter. Let's say worst case, whether she did it, whether her editor did it, it was run through AI. That wasn't a great thing for her to have done, right?
No. No.
Now, best case is she just wrote kind of a bad book.
Yeah.
I've read, and I
Yeah.
think you've read too, the first 2 paragraphs.
I've actually read a little bit more.
Okay.
I did before it all got yanked, because I'll be totally open here. A couple of months ago, in one of our Hot Goss segments, when we were talking about AI and AI witch finding, I actually called out this book by
Mhm.
name, saying I wasn't comfortable with people just slagging it off because I don't know, to me, it read like, kind of, boring lit fic.
Yeah.
I just got admitted to an MFA program, not Iowa, uh, that where I'm okay, but I'm trying to do something that I don't feel very comfortable working in, but I
Mhm.
think this is what my professors want me to write like. It was It felt kind of synthetic, it was choppy, it felt a little bland, but it didn't feel fake to me. I did go in the look inside that I was able to find. It was I guess it was because she had self-pubbed it, and I was able to find a couple
Right.
of pages, and I read it, and I was like, "Not for me.
Yeah.
This isn't me." And I have read a lot of shitty lit fic over the years, and to me, that's what it read like. I apparently was wrong, and that's okay. Like, I
And
admit it.
and it and you know what? I could be biased because, I read the accusations first before I read the paragraphs, and I read the paragraphs and I said, Sure looks AI-ish to me." Like there were some phrases that just, really stood out to me. But again, it doesn't matter. She either used AI or she didn't write a great book and she didn't have good editors.
Yeah.
Even if she did, she is the beginning of this chain,
Mhm.
but the chain is long.
Yes, it's very long.
There's a lot of hatred being focused on that one, that one link in the chain.
Yeah. The person with the least power. It's interesting. To me, this is
Yes.
kind of an interesting concept. So, the artist and who has created this work, whether AI assisted or generated or not,
Mhm.
is both the most powerful person in that they are the creator, and they are also the least powerful person because when they are a debut novelist, she had self-pub before and including this novel, and I want to talk about a little bit about that in a second. But once that goes to a publisher, a big 5, as it was in this case, it was Hachette, she then loses her power. She loses her control over her book, her words, her art. So she is at the same time both the most powerful and the least powerful. And before we started, I was getting real deep and like very English majory with Kirk and talking how I had been I had been meditating on the concept of negative capability this week that, John Keats had written about in a letter to his brother about Shakespeare and about how great artists can hold multiple truths at the same time, uh, or competing untruths at the same time. And this is the case for Mia Ballard. She is both the most powerful person here, having created the controversy, and the least powerful person because she has no control over the controversy.
Mhm. Mhm.
And she created this book, however she did it. It was self-published. So when she self-published it, she used a cover that used art that she took from Pinterest. Now, one of the things that anybody who starts kind of going along in bookish spaces, especially if you're doing like pitch contests, is that you learn do not get art from Pinterest. Do not get it there because you don't know where it comes from. You don't know if it's royalty free. You don't know if it's rights free. Somebody could have an actual copyright on it and you're fucked either through ignorance or, I don't give a fuck. She took art that she found on Pinterest and she used it for her cover art. And then people recognized it. And she said she couldn't identify who the artist was and she didn't do enough research. She went to justanswer.com after this book was acquired by Hachette because Shy Girl was a moderate success. Hachette acquired it directly from Ballard. So she went on to ask a lawyer,
Mhm.
which is part of the Just Answer website, saying, "Whoopsie, I self-published a book and used artwork found on Pinterest that was by this artist, Win Lewis. Whoopsie, and I don't know what to do. My publisher is basically saying I gotta sort this out." She didn't know that these chats with a lawyer are made public. And it's all over it's got her name there. It's got her zip code there.
Mhm.
It's definitely her, and everybody already knew about this Win Lewis situation. But why did her publisher hang her out to dry like this? I mean,
Well,
we were
yes.
talking before we started recording about the similarities between the self pub that she's talking about and the current cover. I mean, do
Yeah, yeah.
you had some thoughts?
Yeah, so not only did the original artist get her art stolen, by Mia initially. The Hachette's cover is very similar to the self-pub cover. It's got that long-nosed dog on it. So the original artist, Wynne Lewis, had her cover stolen, and then Hachette stole her cover again. And when I say stole, I mean it colloquially. I'm not making an accusation here, so please don't come after me, Hachette. But, uh it's a very similar cover, and to my knowledge, the original artist was not paid for this very similar looking.
No, no. It's a whippet. I have confirmed.
Okay,
She
a
she
whippet, yeah.
she
A
she paints
long-nosed dog.
she paints almost exclusively whippets, so now you know. But, yeah, and so without getting too far into the what the fuck are her publishers up to, and going back to Mia Ballard herself,
Yeah,
she said that the all of the AI stuff that or people what people think is AI is down to her trusting a friend to edit her book, and
mhm,
that friend she believes may have fed it into some sort of LLM, and then it spit this out. But then there's the question, why did you not check the editor's work? Even with human editors, you're not gonna accept all of their changes. Like, what?
right. What
What are you doing?
and if you're looking at what came out, and this is really important. So she's not denying that it's AI, right? And that's what makes me she's saying my editor maybe use it. So she's not denying what she is
Yeah,
denying is that she used AI. So yes, why would you let an editor make such sweeping changes to your prose?
no clue, no clue.
Okay, so I'm not gonna harangue Mia anymore at this point.
No.
She obviously made some bad decisions along the way. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter if those bad decisions were AI or trusting somebody who used AI or stealing covers, things like that. So Mia made some bad decisions, and the next link in that chain is Hachette. So
yeah.
to my knowledge, I looked around a little bit today. To my knowledge, Mia does not have a literary agent, and so it seems that Hachette reached directly out to her and is working directly with her. That's not unknown, it is pretty rare for a big publisher like that not to work with an agent. So, let me just say this is why you have an agent, and
Because it
so
does
Hachette
happen. It does
yeah,
happen, though, that these publishers do reach out, and that's when if you're gonna be smart about it, like you're
mhm,
the needle in the haystack, you need an agent because you need somebody to cover your ass. You don't know
right.
shit.
So Hachette has all the power now because there is nobody representing Mia. And according to Publishers Marketplace, there were two acquisitions editors at Hachette that took this on. So we have two experienced literary editors working at Hachette that took this book on and what? Didn't read it?
So I have
Like,
thoughts. I have some thoughts here. The Hachette had a new imprint, a new horror imprint, brand new
mhm,
one, and this was going to be part of this launch of this new imprint, and, to me, this smacks of, "Hey, we got something. We got something that's already got a track record of sales. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's just get it to market. I don't care. Let's put all of the risk on her."
mhm, mhm.
Because what kind of power does she have? She is for her, this is her trad pub debut, who cares? And yes, Hachette is going to be damaged by this, but they're still huge. It doesn't matter. This is the Silicon Valley model of, like, move fast, break things, and
Yeah, I'm gonna make a prediction that if Mia's career is not completely ruined at this point, it is severely damaged, right? I mean, if she's gonna have to use a pen name or something going forward. Meanwhile, Hachette just gets to continue being Hachette, publishing books, and they will ride this out. So, they basically threw Mia under the bus.
yeah, and why not? It is I think everybody was kinda waiting for this to happen, like, we all had heard, like, there's gonna be the first AI novel And how are people going to receive it? And this was a test case, and guess what? People do not like it. It isn't even necessarily that they don't like the prose, although that's part of it. It's that they were manipulated into believing that this was an artist's art. And it's just as fake if we are to believe that this is AI. It's just as fake as that Tilly Norwood
Yeah.
actress in scare quotes. So people don't like it. People don't like feeling manipulated. People, you can there. Look, I've been drawn in by AI stuff before without realizing first what it was, and thought, oh, that's charming or that's clever. Or
Yeah. Oh, we've all done it.
even after I realized it, I'm like, that's still kind of charming and clever, but I feel like, ugh, there's the yuck factor.
I think that we, and I say we in the very broad sense, I think we, enjoy an AI video, if it is if it's so very obvious and it's, I don't know,
Yeah,
something cute or something, right? Right?
yeah.
Like, that's okay. It's when it's, and you use the word manipulating, it is when it is trying to manipulate us into believing it is real,
Yeah.
is what we don't like. Now me, I actually just don't like any of it,
Mhm.
even the cute stuff. It just, again, I would rather just see something
Kurt,
that
on the record, Kirk is against cute AI kitten
that's
videos.
right. That's right.
Never.
Cute
No
AI
kittens.
kittens that are being rescued in floodwaters by masculine firemen,
Who are also Jesus.
who are also Jesus
Yes,
and
this is
weirdly also shrimp. Yeah. So,
yes, 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 and there's legions of Korean, flight attendants,
you know,
praying and weeping at the same time. Um, honestly, if you know, you know. But it's I'm just gonna come right out and say, this is Hachette's fault. At the end of the
yeah,
day, this is
yeah.
their fault. If she had just stayed self-pubbed, this would have just kind of, like, floated out there forever,
And
like,
more importantly,
maybe,
it would have
maybe
been
not.
her problem.
Yeah, it would've been her problem, and look, she's an indie, and there aren't a lot of indies, for better or for worse, probably for worse, that get kind of noticed. This would have
Mhm.
been a topic of conversation for dozens of people, maybe 100.
Yeah, I
She's
do
in the New
feel
York
like,
Times,
yeah, well, and that's what kind of blew it all up, isn't it? Yeah, I feel like Hachette had a duty to, first of all, read the fucking book, because there's no way you read this book and say, "Oh, yeah, it's good to go."
Print it!
Like, slap a new cover, slap our logo on it,
Yeah,
and ship it, right?
yeah.
There's no way.
No, no, and this is where we start talking about capitalism. So if you came for the capitalism, this is the capitalism part,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
let's put a timestamp on this, for big scary capitalism talk. So as many listeners know, there are a big 5 of publishers in the US. And this was not always thus. 30 years ago, there were many more imprints doing
Mhm,
all sorts of different kinds of things. And capitalism gives us the impression that we're going to have more choice, that the market will create more choice for us as we create different kinds of demands. But that's not actually where we are in capitalism right now. We're far enough along with enough billionaires that they have no interest in serving multiple smaller markets and audiences when they can just glom it all together, ship it out as slop and go, "Here you go.
mhm.
This is what you got." So we see it in all different kinds of media. We've been seeing it with all of these mergers, with Paramount and CBS and, acquisitions that fall through and acquisitions that are, successful and which ones need to be approved and which ones don't need to be approved. And we're just getting less and less and less choice. And we as consumers are getting shafted again and again and again while these conglomerates and venture capitalists and private equity are getting ridiculously and obscenely wealthy. And I say this as somebody who comes from an investment management background. These people are not your friends. They are not here to actually please you. They are trying to give you the impression that they are there to entertain you. They don't give a shit. They just want your money. So, I say this as a capitalist. I it breaks my heart because this is not what how it's supposed to be. And for writers, for artists, it is destroying our craft, right? And it's also really discouraging for people who are coming into this world to think I don't have a chance. There's nobody who's going to pick up my weird little book. And if the market, even in self-pub land where it's getting flooded by AI slop, how can my actual handcrafted indie book bubble to the top when there are so many, AI books out there that people can pump out, in a matter of hours? It just sucks. It all sucks.
Well, and we say this amidst, there were announcements of layoffs at publishers today,
Mhm.
more people. And so when I say nobody, certainly, I mean, I can't imagine how this book would have otherwise gotten through, but I feel like nobody read the book at Hachette. They just wanted to slap a cover on it. Maybe it's because, with everybody's workloads increasing because billionaires need more yachts. Maybe there was like no time to read this book. It's hard to say. I mean, I'm speculating obviously, but obviously as the publishing industry contracts, it's not getting better. It's not getting more efficient, but the guys at the top seem to be enjoying it.
Yeah.
So, I think that there is a direct correlation here, I think, between what happened with Mia and her book and billionaires getting bigger yachts.
Oh, yeah. We talk about it all the time, or at least part of the time, that it doesn't matter how good you think your book is, that you need to have other sets of eyes on it. And like, how can we, as, people who are querying right now, believe in this credo when the people that we want to publish our books don't seem to live by it? Like, it's the whole, one rule for thee and one rule for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I we're supposed to be, without sin, spotless, you know, and our backgrounds need to be able to withstand the bit I'm about to get to, which is critics and readers. Like,
Mhm.
you need to, like, good God, if you have any sins in your past, and you have a modicum of success, they will be brought up.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
we are expected to be perfect and moral, good people, unless that shitbag is our brand, in which case it's okay. But most of us don't have the shitbag brand. But the nobody gives, it's the, "Oh, well, it's the publishers and, their corporations, yada, yada, yada." Um, I look, I worked in corporate governance and responsible investment for many years. It is our jobs to hold these behemoths to account, because it ain't nobody else is gonna do it. If you are a shareholder, do not throw this is me being a former corporate governance person here. If you're a shareholder, do not throw your proxy vote away or think, "I don't give a shit. I'll just let, my manager take care of it." No, read that thing. Vote your shares, okay? Do some research because if these are public corporations, some of them aren't, but if there are, get involved. It doesn't matter if it's a publisher, it doesn't or Coca-Cola. Like,
Yeah.
it's really important that we are part of the capitalist system. We are shareholders. We are owners of these dumbass companies and corporations. Flex your power. You don't have a lot of it. Just you need to do it because they will point that lack of power right back at you. So look, I'm mad. I'm mad in the way that I'm always mad at capitalism while also hugging it close because I do love it. It sucks. It sucks. But like, um, I was just talking about readers, and readers are another part of this equation, and this is the one that hurts my heart. I think more than the other 2. So, our stance on AI witch finding has not changed. I still believe that unless you see a prompt in text or someone is coming forward and saying, "I used AI," or their publisher or their agent or
Mhm.
their,
Mhm.
co-creator comes forward and says, "We used AI." I am going to give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe, maybe I'm a dreamer, but, I wanna believe that most people's heart are in the right
Well, I think
place.
that's why we're so careful at the beginning to say, that these are accusations that, and again, she certainly didn't deny that it was AI, but on the other
No.
hand, it in
Look, it reminds me of do you remember that episode of The Brady Bunch where Jan, is talking about her boyfriend?
I have no idea what you're talking about, Megan.
So she said, "Oh, I've got this boyfriend, George Glass," as she looks at a glass. This kind of feels like a George Glass situation, like, it was my friend
Yeah,
who edited
yeah.
it, and she must have done it. Again, it could be true. It just kinda smells weird, but at the same time I don't know. I don't really know. All I know is the reporting that I've read. I do not trust the New York Times anymore, but I do trust The Guardian. And I read about it in The Guardian. So, and again, it was like, well, look, they yanked the book because they had suspicions. Okay, fine. But there are some other problems here. At the earlier stage, when this was still an indie pub book, it received a lot of 5-star reviews on Goodreads. I've read some of these, and it was yeah, this is a great book. I can't stop thinking about it. Wow, really powerful. But some of the phrasing was a little weird. It kind of got weird and meandered and it didn't
Mhm.
resolve very well. I didn't like the ending. And then I think, then why are you giving it 5 stars? Like the other stars exist. There are other combinations, as you said earlier to me. It's like there are many combinations of stars.
Yes.
So people get misled into thinking this is a good book or this is worthy of my time. This is a topic for another time, but people who got ARCs, advanced reader copies, often feel that unless or are specifically told, unless you give me a 4 or 5-star review, don't review. So there are people
And
who
we're not
had,
saying she did that, by the
we're not saying she did it, but I see it all the time, people complaining about it. So if you're not gonna give a real review, like, what are you doing? But the other side of it is that when these original kind of accusations started coming out earlier in the year, I think it was about 2 months ago, there were plenty of people who had never read any of it. They were just kind of joining bandwagons like, "Oh, well, this person said that it's AI, so yeah, it's AI, so it sucks. I haven't read a single word, but I know because I trust this person on TikTok or this person on Threads or this person on
Mhm.
YouTube. There was a 2 hour and 40-minute video that I watched the first half hour of before we did our little piece on it a couple of months ago, where I was like, "Well, okay, these are all accusations, but there's nothing concrete here to me. It just sounds like a shit video." Apparently, there were a little bit more kind of on point, you said, criticisms of the book. You mentioned those to me that our wonderful former co-host and producer Rylan was talking to Kirk about today. Rylan is very angry about this whole
Yeah.
situation. I just want to point out. So, but this video, which we'll link, is very long. And there's something that was like, what kind of okay, if you're doing a 2 hour and 40-minute video about a book that you think is crap, like, I'm sorry, that says a lot more about you than the book, and maybe that's me, but that turned me off, but then they were like, "Oh, well, he said it, and that video is long." Well, no, if you are gonna criticize something, at least do something to read a little bit of it, and then oh, God, Kirk, 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 Kirk. Today, people were farming this outrage for their own content to
Yeah.
promote their own work,
Yeah. That was
saying,
so gross. That
I
was
I'm
really
not
gross.
gonna link this, but Kirk brought this to my attention of at least one, writer indie writer out there who said, "I published this book. I got a great blurb from X famous person for this book. I am, in this entertainment field. I have" how many followers did you say she had? Like 10,000 followers or something
Like,
like that?
yeah, yeah, it was I
It was a
guess
lot of
I don't know if
followers.
10,000 is
Yeah, she's like
significant, but yeah.
and
It
my
was
querying for, an agent is going nowhere. And yet, this lady got her book published. I thought, that is so gross. This Mia Ballard is
Yeah.
having the worst day of her life,
Yeah.
and you're using this to boost your own engagement? F off. That is so gross. Don't do that shit. And so I want to raise this that Mia Ballard is a young or youngish Black woman. And the amount of vitriol that has been pointed her way feels very gender coded. James Fry, who wrote that Million Little Pieces book that turned out to be a big old fraud after
Mhm.
Oprah had him on her book club, was able to resuscitate his career after being humiliated, or so we thought.
Yeah. All he had to do was apologize to Oprah,
That's it. And he was forgiven.
and he got a movie.
Yep.
He is still writing books. He's still writing books
And
under his
he's
own
using
name.
AI to write his books, and he says it, and he's
Yeah.
proud of it. He is
Yeah.
proud of it. But Mia
So,
Ballard,
but yeah, he's a white male. He gets to
yep,
get away with this.
yep,
And, Mia Ballard, who is a young Black woman, does not
no.
she doesn't get to get away with this, and not only that, but, she gets to experience just a complete pile on.
And I will point this out as well. A lot of the people who are calling her out are women. And it's very uncomfortable as a feminist to say this, but we have got to stop being fucking quisling shits in the service of capitalism. We have got to stop doing it. This is not just capitalism at work, this is patriarchy as well. When you are allowing somebody like James Fry to get away with this shit, and yet you are putting the
Mhm.
magnifying glass on Mia Ballard and letting the sun shine right on her. What
Well,
are you doing? Stop it.
another name, that comes up to, is Elizabeth Holmes,
Mhm.
who, let me tell you what, is a complete shitbag, no doubt about it, right?
Total
She
villain.
got hammered, by the she I don't know if I don't think she's out yet. She spent a very long time in jail, for what she did. And you know
Deservedly.
what? There are CEOs, male CEOs, white male CEOs doing the same kind of shit every single day who are walking scot-free.
Mhm.
I mean, the examples just keep continuing. Who was the woman on Inventing Anna?
Anna Delvey.
Was it Anna Delvey? Anna Delvey, same way. Um, I don't know. I watched the documentary. I thought, she did a lot less than, say, Elizabeth Holmes did. Um, and, she just got hammered. And again, CEOs out there doing the same shit and worse every
Yeah.
single day, walking scot-free,
Yep.
being hailed as innovators and
Mhm.
you know, powerful businessmen.
I mean, like,
There's
what
such a double standard.
Elon Musk is not in jail. You know,
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
it's
exactly.
it's although, not convicted of any crimes. Elon's problem seems to be that nobody wanted him on Epstein Island. He wanted to be
Maybe
there
nobody
super
wants him
bad.
in jail.
Nobody wants him in jail. But he really wanted to go to Epstein Island, and
He
Epstein was
did,
like,
he did.
"No." I mean, honestly, like, wow. But I gotta say this because bookish spaces, like, every single part of the spectrum from writer to reader and all points in between, agents and people who work at publishing houses. So many of us are women. And, this is a space that we've carved out for ourselves, for better or for worse. And there's certainly plenty of men out there who are saying, women are the reason why men aren't getting published. All of these horrible harridans, they're just crowding out all of our male voices, our strong male voices. Well, you know what? That's all number 1, not true, and number 2, why not?
Mhm.
So if you're going to point a finger, don't point it at the person with the least power. You want to be always punching up, and probably the person who is running the publishing company is not a Black woman. It's probably a white man. So don't be in service and don't do this
Yeah.
shit. They can do it themselves.
Mia Ballard is not the person you should be directing your hate at.
So I have a note down here, about what can we do as writers and readers. Do you have any thoughts on this, or is it just like, I mean, I have a couple of thoughts, they're kind of amorphous, but I think what we can do is read more indie books. I think that
Yeah,
is something that, you know, a lot of us can really try to do. We are gonna have a guest on in a couple of weeks who is an indie author. I'm reading his book this weekend, and I'm really excited to. I realize I don't read enough indie pub. That's on me, that's my problem. Like, I'm part of the problem here. So I think, support indie authors and
yeah. Certainly support underrepresented authors,
Mhm.
whether indie or trad pub.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we've talked a little bit about this before, where
yeah,
just, kind of broaden your reading horizons.
yeah.
And this I tell you what, this is something that I'm going to start doing more of, and that is reviewing, leaving reviews for books as well, especially leaving reviews for indie books,
Yeah,
because that's you know, as the publishing industry continues to contract, I think this is an opportunity for indie publishers to say, "Hey, I may not be published by a big 5, but I've got a quality product out
mhm,
there." And as the big 5 start to, lay off more staff and start, trying to squeeze every little penny, the quality just necessarily is going to suffer. And I think
yeah,
that's where indie authors can come in and say, "Yeah, I don't have a big publishing contract, but I've got a quality product."
yeah. Look at my handcrafted book.
And
Yeah,
so, it's on us then to kinda support that, go in.
yeah,
If you like the book that you read, go out, give it a good review.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and also don't be afraid to, DNF a book that you don't like.
absolutely. Yeah,
And because the review spaces are for readers, feel free to give, a review with stars that actually reflect what you think. I think we all need to be a little bit more brave and a little bit more accurate when we're doing these things. That hot goss we did the other week about, like, if you don't give me a 5-star review, we're not friends. That's just bullshit. I mean, straight up, it's if don't you want to hear what your friends actually hear about you? I mean, think about you. And and what have we learned? We learned that everybody sucks, from top to bottom today, I think. And I'm gonna be off, going to join a collective to till the soil. Clearly, that is the only way forward for me at this point. I am now obviously a socialist. I've fully radicalized myself through this podcast. These are interesting and terrible times, and they are, radicalizing, kind of middle of the road progressive types like me into, you know, red diaper babies. It's all okay. You can be your red diaper baby in your middling middle age.
sure, sure. We're gonna say yeah.
Yeah. I thought we might do a teeny tiny bit of hot goss here. Just a little bit, just a little bit. So, just a little bit.
Okay.
Although this has been all hot goss. Um,
I actually did not read ahead, so I don't even know what we're doing for Hot Goss. This will
um,
be a surprise
it's
for me.
though, but you know about this one.
I do know, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
looking at the
okay,
notes here. Okay, yeah, I know about this.
okay. Um,
I had things to say about this,
you
actually.
did have things to say about this. So, uh, this chap, Michael O. Church, has
Yeah, I was
had
gonna say, just say his name.
oh,
He
no, I'm
needs to
saying
be
his
out
he
there.
loves to have you say his name. I'm gonna say his I bet he's gonna listen. It's bet he's gonna find out. This is a chap who has written, um, a very long, I believe it is currently at 450,000 words long fantasy novel that he has been having a very hard time finding an agent to rep him for. I wonder
He's
why.
very bitter about this.
He's extremely bitter about this. He has a Substack, as all true nutters have.
And I'm gonna just interject really quick
Yes.
in case we have some listeners that don't know this. There are specific word counts that a literary agent expects your novel to be in. For science fiction, you can go typically longer than a lot of other genres, But I think especially for a debut author, you're still looking at a max of around 100,000 words,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and so to have a 450,000 word novel as a debut author even if you were, Jesus, just a published author, no science fiction author out there is putting out 450,000 word novels. So,
Look, even the Melliverse is around that level, and that was
ah,
not actually a book. So he's got a problem to start off with.
yeah, yeah,
He's a little bitter about this. So he had this great idea a few months ago where he was going to prove that literary agents don't actually read queries. So he was going to send out a query that was not actually a query letter as we
yeah.
consider query letters to be.
His little experiment was completely flawed
Yes,
from the very start.
from the
Yeah,
beginning. So he sent to 200. This is back in July of last year. This was happening right around the time that we were about to launch this podcast. We did not. I think we might have talked about it at the time, but we did not make this our first Hot Goss. He sent 200 literary agents an open letter that was a satirical how-to guide about how to make AI write a bestseller. Right? It was not actually a query letter. So he wanted to see that if anybody would actually respond to him and what those rejections and, maybe somebody wanting to read his manuscript
mhm.
would turn up. Spoiler alert, he did not get an agent. I believe that he did not even get any
He got no responses.
responses.
I mean,
He got
and it
rejections, but he didn't get anything that was just like an
right.
actual. Yeah, and he considered people when he got form rejections as to be like well, they read it and they looked at it, but some of these people didn't even look at it. So this guy's a moron, and he came to to the conclusion that you need to have an MFA in writing in order to get any further. So fast forward to last week, and this was his latest Substack, which was that it cost $25,000 to successfully query a literary agent. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is Kirk Rafferty, my co host, who until recently was represented by a literary agent.
Yeah.
How much did it cost you to obtain this literary agent?
Yeah, well, so first of all, I don't have an MFA, so I've
No.
already blown his thing right out of the water. But if we wanna take everything that I have spent, let's say, on courses, on books, how to write,
Conferences. Yeah.
conferences, things like that,
Hmm.
I'll be generous. I'll be
Okay.
generous and say maybe $4,000. Don't even think it I don't even think it was 2,000, but let's say it was $4,000. Okay?
Hmm.
This is not this is not like I didn't write a $25,000 I didn't write a $4,000 check. This is just what we normally do in the course of doing things, like pick something that you want to do.
Hmm.
If you want to be a computer programmer, you're going to spend some money, on courses, on
Hmm.
certifications, on this or that. That doesn't translate to it will cost you this much
No.
to do a thing.
No.
It is and I probably I probably spend if I let's say it came out to $4,000, I am probably at the top end of your typical writer in that because many, many, many writers, like, I don't know, what do you wanna let's say they spent $500 on a laptop,
Hmm.
you can use Google Docs.
Yeah.
You can get away with finding a with querying a literary agent and, maybe even getting a literary agent for the cost of a laptop, because
Yeah.
Google Docs is free.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You might pay for premium on Query Tracker, which
right,
is not a
which is
lot of money.
ridiculously
It's
inexpensive.
so
What is
cheap.
it, like $20 a year or something? I should know this.
It's something really small.
Yeah.
And, I think I've probably spent somewhere about 3 grand, but that's because I've traveled to conferences and had
Mhm, mhm.
accommodation there, and that's why it's been as high as it has. I've been to 4 conferences now, and I'll be at another one later this year with you and Anne, who hopefully
And
is going
Rylan.
to, and Rylan,
Yeah.
all of the hosts. Maybe we can get all 4 of us together, that would be fun. But this guy is also talking about adding in your editors and book doctors and developmental assessments. So, yeah, those do add up, but not everybody's gonna need them. There
And
are
yeah,
cheap ways to do this.
and again, most literary agents understand that many authors cannot afford to go out and hire a developmental editor, for
Yeah,
example, right? Now,
yeah.
it is on you to take a lot of that work on yourself.
Mhm.
So, when we're talking about going after TradPub, there is less of an expectation that you're going to go out and hire editors.
Yeah,
When you're talking about going indie pub, then yes, readers are going to expect that you had a good editor.
yeah,
In any case, and quite yes, you probably are giving yourself a little bit of a leg up if you are traditionally querying and you hire an editor.
sure.
But these are not things that you have to do, and there's so many examples of people out there who didn't do it. They spent years honing their craft, they got better at writing, and finally an agent noticed them.
I will tell you that yesterday I read something that I wrote in April 2020, at the start of the pandemic that I had really liked at the time, that really kind of crystallized how I was feeling in those first weeks,
Mhm.
how much terror I felt, but also this kind of blankness and flatness. And at the time, I was like, God, this is like probably the best thing I've written in a while. And this is before I took the creative writing course. And I'm like, God, this is actually good. I went back and read it and I'm like, wow, I am so much better now. Like,
Mhm.
I get the emotion is there and it evokes that emotion for me, but that's because I was the one who wrote it. So I think I'd read it now if I didn't know and be like, wow, this is overwritten. There's some interesting ideas here, but girl, pull it back. But that came not from, having a developmental editor or going to conferences. It came from writing. It came from from just doing a lot of writing, a lot. It all comes together. This guy's problem is that he's got a 450,000 word manuscript and an ego the size of Saturn.
Yeah. And even if he was right that you need an MFA, which you don't, I think MFAs are more than $25,000.
Well, some of them are fully funded, but those are rare, so they can be more than $25,000. But it's still you don't need it. You don't
And
need these
the other thing
expensive
that he's
conferences. You don't
doing
need any of it.
too is he's looking what he's seeing. So he's seeing authors and he'll go to their webpage or he'll look at the back of the book or whatever, and he'll notice, oh, this author has an MFA. Pick up another book. Oh, this author also has an MFA. And so what he's seeing is, oh, there's art, there's a higher number of MFAs in this particular stack of books than maybe the people that I work with. What he's seeing is survivorship bias, right? He doesn't know how many people went and got MFAs and are still unpublished.
Yes, many, many,
Many,
many, many.
like a lot,
Like, a lot, and
like
also
most of them, quite
yeah,
frankly.
and also, if this guy is writing in fantasy, how many people who write in the fantasy genre have MFAs? If you're looking at lit fic, you're probably going to see a higher proportion, but why are you not reading? Is my question for you. Why are you not reading in your genre? And why are you not, like, seeing how other authors, your peers, your putative peers are doing, benchmarking
Yeah.
yourself to these people?
It's like saying if you want to work at McDonald's, you need an art history degree.
There's plenty of people who are art
Because
historians
there's
who
a
work at
lot of people
McDonald's.
with art history degrees that are not working at
No.
museums because there's only so many.
No, but and it's the and that gets to the whole thing, the portability of certain degrees. Like, I was an English major, and I worked in investment management for like the better part of a decade. I didn't know
Yeah.
shit about numbers. I'm not good with numbers. Excel was made for people like me because you can't trust me around numbers on my own. I should not be left unsupervised. So why do you need an MFA? You need your brain and something to get the words out of your head. You can dictate them, you can type them, you can write them, but you don't need all of the trappings unless you want them.
Yeah. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of authors that don't have MFAs. I don't even know the statistic. I don't care about the statistics because writing is one of those things where, I mean, if you want to be, and you can vouch for this, if you want to be a lawyer, there is definitely a path you must take,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you want to be a writer, all you need to do is read and write. That's all. There's no, and if you want to be traditionally published, then you write a good book. And you also, let's face it, get lucky because the
Mhm.
market is fickle. All kinds of factors are always going on. An agent that would have been perfect 3 months ago maybe
Mhm.
isn't taking your genre anymore. And if you would have queried him or her 3 months ago, they would have taken you on, but now they're not. I
Yeah.
mean, it it is a fickle business, but number 1, write a good book and kinda go from there, and you don't need an MFA, you don't need a postgraduate degree, you don't need you don't need a high school education. I mean, you probably should, but stay in school,
Yeah,
kids.
do it for do it for yourself.
But
It's
anyway, it's a bad take, it's a bad take.
it's well, this
He's
but
a he's a ridiculous person,
he is, and
not to be taken seriously at all.
he has a whole bunch of people in his comments
Yeah, they love him. He's
they
got a
love
little
him.
army.
He does, and it's, it does suck. All of this sucks. We just spent an entire episode saying how much everything sucks, but, you don't need to live in the suck. You can acknowledge it and just go, and I'm gonna go be part of the solution.
Yeah.
You don't
Or you can
need
be
to.
like us and just, live
Oh,
in
what,
the
just
suck.
mine it? Just mine it? Mine the suck? We can also do that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and look, children, today we learned that everyone sucks and that everything is falling apart and that capitalism is, the big bad behind all of it. But I'm a capitalist still at the moment. I mean, maybe this is a moment like that's stuck in amber and we'll come back to it in 5 years while I'm, on the kibbutz, but we'll see. Uh
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's, in the meantime, before I get to the kibbutz, you can find us. We are on social media. We are Badlit Friends everywhere on Blue Sky, where you can see my wonderful T-shirt, which I will post tonight on our Badlit Friends account. We are also on Instagram, Threads. We're on YouTube. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms. Leave us reviews. As I mentioned before, we have an author coming on in a couple of weeks. I will mention him now. Isaac Grijalva and his new book, which it has just been released. It is called 6.5 Days in the City. I am reading it this weekend. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. I know because that's how I got it. So if you want to join us in a couple of weeks to talk about that, please go ahead and read it now. We will be here in the meantime, in between now and then. Next week, I thought we could talk about what we were going to talk about this week before Mia Ballard, which is what do writers owe readers? I'm going to try to be a little bit more positive. Maybe I'll see. You know, maybe I'll get really drunk
Yeah,
before this
it'll be
one.
a fun episode.
I'll be a lot more peppy. So this was kind of like catharsis. So I hope it was for everyone else. But until next time, we will see you then.
Bye.